Hello everybody. Hopefully things are working okay, and we're back again with the General's Lounge. Welcome into the General's Lounge. We have me, AngryBird here, Metal Phase, Protozocker, and Frublord again in the General's Lounge. Welcome, guys, and thank you, Metal Phase, Protozocker, and Frublord, for joining me again this week.
Hey ho.
What's up?
Hello.
Wow, it's been a stressful start to the night for me. Everything was going wrong. And so my stream elements, all my chat's gone wrong. Hopefully it's picking up the chat. What else? Discord has gone wrong as well, so we can't see Protozocker tonight. Unfortunately, we only have his lovely green icon. So yeah, it was a bit manic.
I suggest you make my profile picture a bit larger.
Yeah, I just noticed that.
Yeah. Maybe we did change it last week, but I think we forgot this week.
I can't be hecked to switch it around every week.
Yeah.
This is what I run with, guys.
I just need to alter my chat on the right as well, so just bear with me a second because I'm missing.
Everything's falling apart at this point. Oh, no.
There we go. So I know it's not fantastic today, the visuals, but in fact I can try and alter this a bit as well to make it perfect. Oh dear me, literally everything that could have gone wrong tonight I think has gone wrong, but we're here, we still made it on. And yeah, the General's Lounge week 2. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it last week. We got 15 viewers here joining us back again. Hopefully we'll get some more as we carry on in the night. Still early days, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. So Metal Phase, Frublord, Protozocker, how have you enjoyed week 1 in the Steel Division League?
It's been pretty good. I've only played one game. Some people have been playing multiple games during the first week, which they're not supposed to do, but
Yeah.
otherwise pretty chill for the SD League.
Yeah, it was a good week. It was really busy because so many games were played, but that was as expected. And it's good to see all the content creators already picking up on it and bringing out a lot of stuff there, and also a lot of good games in all divisions.
And Frublord, how have you felt this week? Have you been enjoying seeing the games?
I've only seen the few casts that Protoss has done, and only about half of them. Caught a few games that were interesting to watch, that's for sure. So far I haven't played myself yet. We'll get around to that either tomorrow or the day after. Oh no, day after is not going to work, so it's going to be the weekend. Yeah, it's been interesting so far.
Yeah, you haven't even played your first game yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
So yeah, I guess you have to schedule that with CZ, who's like way across the other side of the world.
Cheers, Frublord.
You're welcome.
Yes, as I'm still actually working with the here we go, up in the volume. Hopefully that will fix that for you guys if you were a little low on the volume.
Ramp it all the way up.
Yeah, hopefully that will be a bit better. Protozocker's got a nice picture back as well.
Yeah.
Right, excellent, we're getting there.
Yeah.
I can't tell you like how stressed I've been over the last. Well, I've been trying to set up this for about over an hour now. I've just been sat on my computer doing thing after thing. Oh my god, everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. Kingu, thank you, much better. Good, that's great. Right, let's just jump straight in and let's talk about some results. I've got up Group A as we speak. I've got Division Group Zukov. And we've had, how many games? Quite a few games in Group B, but only one game in Group A. Sean versus Losser, and what a result it is already.
Good on Losser to tie it out with Sean. I honestly, I would have said Sean was the favorite for that match. So I guess it's an upset, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Depends on what
I would
everybody else
I
thinks
would
about
say
that.
so.
Yeah,
I would-
I completely think it's an upset. Major upset. Definitely. You know, loss and winning would have been mind blowing. I think loss of tying that game is still like a major upset. Really unexpected. I mean, Losser is a great player, don't get me wrong, but I think the only player I was thinking beforehand that could have tied against Sean was Pixie. So yeah, for Losser to get that tie, I just think that is ridiculously good. So well played to Losser.
Yeah, although I haven't seen the actual replay, it looks like in the matchup between Skieger and the first Polish, it seems like probably Lhasa was able to hold off Sean for most of the game until Sean just kind of ran out of stuff.
Who was playing who?
So it was
Sean was the first Skieger and Lhasa the first Polish. This is also on Krupa, so this is kind of to be expected to be a really
Yeah,
long
Sean
match.
plays balance. How does he run out of stuff? He's like one of
Well,
the few people that actually plays balanced.
I
I don't know,
go on.
Skieger is a little bit hard to play balanced, in my opinion.
yeah. At some point, even if you play balanced, you still run out
I
of
mean,
stuff.
admittedly, Shiega does run out after a while.
Like you still have infantry left, maybe, but you on like some slots, but you just run out of.
The limiting
Combined arms.
support and armor tab are a problem, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not like the AT tab is any good to make up for it.
No, the AT tab isn't great either. And,
And
the AA tab is also...
Yeah,
Uh,
it's not a great candidate for balanced
No.
deployment.
Yeah, and then we have the issue in Group 1 of Charles, whose internet just died last week.
oh yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I did read that. Yeah.
So he will be back in early March, hopefully. Like he should be back then, and like his internet provider, he is in talks with his internet provider. Like latest he said is 3rd of March, hopefully earlier, but can't promise. But yeah, really looking forward how he will be. But then he will be like super cold while everyone else already played is back into it.
Yeah, but the thing is, in all that time, he can watch all our replays and gain data. So.
Well, can he without internet though? Like he can watch the class, but he cannot open the game, get the replay
I mean,
file.
he's somehow still chatting on Discord, so
Yeah, via his phone, but like,
yeah, exactly. So he can look at them on the YouTubes on his phone.
Yeah, at least that.
Froblord concerned about the intel there.
I mean, it's always the case when you're playing competitively. You always look at what everybody else is doing and try to be prepared for it as much as possible. It's like part of the fun of playing competitively, especially in a longer season as like this one.
And especially like I literally posted my own like strategy on my channel. Essentially, my like step-by-step process of playing a competitive match on 1v1. So if anybody wants to beat me, they can just look at that, or at least not beat me, but know my general plan.
That's the reason why I play in Solution Nominee 44 League.
Just no one has any. You don't know anybody's strategy. No one knows yours.
Well, people could know mine, but yeah, I at least don't put as much info about me out there as I do with Solution 2. I just played like so many ranked games that you can find on my Twitch lately.
So Genzi Kaka is saying it was a close game between Sean and Losser, and I think when the replay got posted, unfortunately I can't access the Discord at the moment, but I think it was like an hour-long game.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, we know the first Polish is really strong in that late game. So I imagine that's how we did.
First Polish is sort of strong whenever, really. Like they've got a strong A phase, B phase, and C phase. You can play them really any way you want.
Yeah, so
like you can shift around the availability they have to whichever phase you need them in.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I suppose maybe sure. I don't know what the incomes were as well. We have got Losser's deck a little bit later on, but it may have been as well that Sean was perhaps thinking, you know, wasn't really thinking Losser was going to challenge him as much as others. Maybe took his foot off the gas a bit. Maybe lost a bit of awareness, but
I'm certainly going to take a look at the replay at some point, see what happened.
Yeah,
You know, this map is pretty. It tends to produce extraordinarily long games.
the Krupa map, yes, yeah.
It's just a horrible map.
Well, I think in terms of the rest of the division as well, it does hand, you know, it opens it up a bit, because I think we were all kind of putting Sean on top of that division, and I still think he's like very strong right now, but you know,
but it makes Losser's position so much better.
It does make Losser's position so much better, yeah. I think also, go on.
Yeah, if we compare it to last league, Sean had only one tie, and already he has a tie now. So if he ties with Pixie, you know, the rest of the matchups are kind of up in the air.
Which map was Krupa again? I don't even remember.
It's the one with the two bridges on the top and bottom of the map, and there's only there's only 3 lanes literally.
Yeah.
And it's a river throughout the middle of the map.
It's like a super annoying map to play on. No.
No, not that one. It's the one where I played the 2-hour game.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, now I remember. Right.
Yeah.
Just tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, that map can bog down quite hard if you.
If someone doesn't have a foothold on the opposite end of the bridge in A phase, then it's literally just a slugfest.
It can bog down pretty hard if you sort of get too invested into one flank.
Sure, yeah.
So honestly, like trying to testing it out. If you don't manage to cross, immediately trying to test out another crossing is probably the most important part, while also making sure you still have something alive after the tried offensive over the river. But yeah, there's plenty of places to push over. But yeah. It does bog down on that map.
Yeah.
Like even if you do make it to the other side, like there's not. It's some of the areas, like the immediate area surrounding the opposite end of the bridge is so open that it makes breakouts like really hard to do.
I think looking at the division as well, I think Pixie, I don't know if he's been paying attention to that result, but that definitely hands him the opportunity to take top spot in the group.
Yeah.
So
he has to play a match first, and then we'll see.
Yeah, let's see how it all goes. I think there's a lot of potential for all but Charles for now in the Group A. I think even though he has to intel, not playing for this long of a time, and well, everyone else is practicing, leaves you quite a bit behind. But I think everyone else is really good there. So
yeah. Okay, sorry.
Shall we move on to Group B?
Yes, I was just going to say, let's move on to Group B, and a lot of matches played in Group B. Nilla's played 3.
Yeah,
Roberts played 3, and then Prester John and Gonzo both have played 2. And wow, some amazing results and some amazing games in this group so far. What's been your
holding her Robert back is real hard. Nilla plays his game as fast because he knows he will not be around in the next couple of weeks, most likely. So that's the reason why he hits in, like he tries to play all of his games now. And yeah, those guys are really motivated, a bit over motivated. Because that might mean we don't get as many games of Group B in the later phase of the league because they already played all their games.
Yeah, it's kind of nice that at least if Group B are kind of ahead on games, that Group A are a bit behind. So we will still get Division 1 action as such all throughout. So that's okay. But yeah, let's go through these results and maybe let's deal with them one by one. Let's bring up the matches. So Gonzo versus Nilla to start off with. And I think Nilla did cast one of his games against Gonzo. It was a fantastic cast to watch, to see sort of from Nilla's perspective, that game. And
also really interesting matchup between the
Yeah.
the army of Craiova and the first
Lovas.
Polish or first Lovas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like after giving it some thought, and I actually talked a little bit with Nila after we played one of our games where I played Armia Craiova, got my ass handed to me. It's like weirdly enough, considering how much we hold the uh, Polish Home Army infantry in such high regard, they let you down in the weirdest of situations. Like you invest
Yeah.
30 points into an Ochotnichi squad, and they sort of underperform a little bit, and then you have the MP44 squads, which are essentially Valkyries,
Yeah.
in their setup, and the SDGs don't really do much for you. Honestly, like I would take a Panzergren squad over them any day. Uh, and then it's also like yeah, the early lack of vehicles definitely hurts that division a lot. Like they get swamped by medium tanks, and I think we saw in the replay like even the dinky little Turan caused a lot of trouble for Nilla in that game as well.
Roblord, could you just try boosting your mic a little bit?
Yeah,
I think Scout's not able to hear you very well. And Skoda, thank you for the follow, buddy. Unfortunately, my alerts aren't working today, but much appreciated for that follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the game Gonzo versus Nilla, it was just Gonzo very well known for sort of his early aggressive pushers, and Nilla kind of taking Gonzo's approach as well. I mean, similar in the sense of very early A phase aggression, but quite different in the style, I think.
It's
Yeah.
actually kind of fun. It's funny because like when you think about it, the first Lovas have the absolute slowest transports, and they're going up against the allied division that has probably the fastest transports, I think, in the Fiat. So
the Fiat's as fast as the Opel Blitz, so yeah, they
right,
have essentially equal speed to any other German division.
yeah, and so it's already a kind of a hard. It's already pretty hard from that perspective to mount a very aggressive strategy when you're conceding so much ground early on to.
For Lovas, not really, considering their infantry is incredibly strong. They like sacrificing ground is hardly a problem for them because they can immediately just walk it back essentially.
Well, but
They-
still, walking over the open is still not as good
Yeah,
as being in bowlings.
That's
It's still a disadvantage. It's not a super big issue, but it's still a
But
disadvantage.
if you think about the map that they were on, which was Bobber, lots of cover for infantry, plenty of places to walk through without any problems, plenty of 500-meter ranges where for the FEG 41s to really get their game on. It's incredibly good for Lovas, and for honestly, when it comes to an infantry fight, I don't think anything can actually beat Lovas.
I just think that the fight for the hill is so pivotal, especially in the early game,
Yes, it is.
that any kind of advantage is
I recently
pretty
tried something else just to test it
deadly.
out, and it's a real rough time if you don't actually contest it.
Yeah, I've always wanted to try a strategy of like sitting a bunch of tanks on the opposite hill, like the city hill, and it just never really works out because it's so easy to pick off tanks at a distance.
But what I find much more interesting, guys, is why did Nilla allow Gonzo to play Third Guards Tank Corps in game number 2?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, really? That happened?
I did see that, and I was very surprised.
What did Nila play?
Nilla played first Ski Jaegers on what was that? Gora Calvaria.
Yeah, okay, now I really have to ask why. Nila's in chat right now. Why on earth did you actually let him play for GTC?
I mean, I'm guessing maybe he forgot. Yeah, so you said he was super
He
tired.
was not thinking. Okay. Whoops.
Yeah, I guess
Well,
the
to be
map
honest-
as well maybe threw him
Yeah.
slightly.
Or I mean, like really, you don't like. There is really no offensive strategy that really works on Gora Calvaria.
Yeah.
Everything is equally good at the defensive
Well-
side of things.
No, actually
No,
not.
no.
The forest on the
wouldn't say
left
so.
side or right side, like where the big forest area is, you can go do good infantry pushes.
If you
And
got good
then
infantry, you can push through that. Yeah.
yeah, and then there's the one bridgehead you have to save as one side on the other side of the river, and then there's the long bridge where you also can go across. It's like hard, sure, it's hard to go aggressive, but it's possible.
Yeah,
And-
not to mention for GTC has the IS-2s that can just tank AT gunfire while the infantry just rushes over. I guess.
Yeah, I think especially against the Ski Jaeger pick.
Oh, and not
Yeah.
to mention the M15 half tracks, which will shut down any cluster bomber attack.
Yeah.
That's
and they
rough.
get a good and they get a really good amount of them, which is
Yeah, 2 cards.
un- Ugh, that division has no weaknesses. It has none. It's the perfect Russian division.
I think maybe it's lacking slightly in artillery, but you know it
Who
can't
needs
have
artillery
everything.
when your tanks are godlike?
I guess they are the artillery.
Artillery is what you get when your infantry support is lacking, but their infantry support is godlike. Why would they even bother with artillery? They don't need
Wow.
it.
Yeah, and then we have the game week 1 game between Heroic and US Pastor John, where both tied, which I
Yes.
think makes the league much harder for both of them.
Yes, so
And makes the Gonzo's nearly already through with that because he has 2 wins, so it's really hard for him to not get out of the league. We expect Gonzo to get through, but with the stats he already has, he's nearly through already. Anyways.
yes, definitely, and Nilla as well with those 2 wins. I mean, we'll come back to him, but yeah, US Presser John and Hey Robert, 1 point apiece at the moment. Yeah, like you say, for Hey Robert, 1 point out of 3 games is going to be tough. I think he's going to have to push on against Neff and Halbreg. And,
and even if he wins both of this, it's still questionable if he gets through.
Yeah, I think he's going to be relying on US Prester John to drop points as well.
Yeah, or Halbreg and Knaf, like those 2 guys we cannot count out either.
Yes.
I'm really interested to see how good Knaf is, because I played a lot against him in the... Well, not a lot, but he plays a lot in the strike team, and he's pretty good there. And he plays a lot against Gonzo there, so I think he has a lot of experience lately. And yeah, really interested to see him in tournaments, because you don't see him too often in tournaments. And he always brings questionable results, but yeah, we'll see. Maybe he turns out real good this time.
Yeah, so Hey Robert and US Presser John drawing, that definitely opens things up for the others in that group. Moving on to the third result that we have there, Hey Robert losing out to Nilla in 2 games.
Yeah, that just happened today.
Yes, Nilla posted his cast of that this morning, and it was fantastic to watch, and just the speed of that 184th Rifles Division that I absolutely hated. I played it like 3 weeks ago, and
it's not an easy division to play.
It completely tilted me, completely triggered me. I hated that division, so it was fantastic to see them played in a really, at the top level. Nilla there telling me 184th is good. It's just I'm not good. It's me that's not good.
Nilla, the things you define as good is because you figured them out. and sort of can manage their weaknesses. That doesn't necessarily make them good. You can even make shit work.
Well, we actually saw quite a bit.
Because you say 28th is good, that's why. That's why I'm skeptical of whenever you say something good.
I think 184th was actually pretty solid. We saw actually a lot of play of them in the league so far, and they won every game so far. I think they had 100%.
Yeah, 184th has seen some play, which is interesting.
Yeah, and maybe let's see how it works out in the end of the season. Maybe Nilla is onto something there.
I think
maybe
most
we are all just blind.
I think pretty much every division that has stroke EDPs are pretty good.
And yeah, it also depends on the map, I guess. You for sure cannot play them everywhere.
Yeah, totally.
But 184th on the right map can be a good choice, I guess.
Yeah, and the Stuarts are some of the best light tanks in the game.
Yeah, I think
Probably even better than the 20mm autocannon ones.
It's
questionable.
A bit of an equal. It's a equal fight
Yeah.
between them. It depends on the it depends on the situation you get.
Well, I mean, like
if
in
you,
terms
if you
of
catch them out, if you catch them outside the autocannon range, absolutely.
right, but I mean, not in terms of like a one-on-one fight between those two, but rather like the role that the Stuart can play. It's like it has so many machine guns that it can be just as good as the of an anti-infantry.
I mean, they cost
tank.
about the same. You have 30 points for a Steward, and it's 35 points for an autocannon Spielwagen. So.
But then you also get the 37mm cannon, which is actually pretty decent.
Yeah, and you can.
I wouldn't rate those machine guns too highly, though.
Yeah.
Individually, yeah, individually no, but like I think you get 3 of them, right? So like that's not terrible.
You get one in the turret, one in the hull. You get 2 guns.
Okay.
Guns. You don't get 3.
For some reason, I don't know why they don't have.
That's you had
because the
3
Shermans get free.
No, that's because there was one in 6th in Steel Division 1944 that had a 50 cal on top. And that was just so hilariously OP. 6th in like 6 armored in Steel Division 1944 with these damn Stuarts. They were so annoying. Especially because they came with veterancy. Like Tiger can tell you how OP those things were, especially before they got nerfed.
Anyways, we were with Robert and Nilla, right? So
yes. Then we have the US match between US versus John and Nilla.
Yeah, I was looking forward to that one massively as well. I can't wait to cover that.
Nilla took it with two games.
I think one of them, I think US Presser John was playing Juggernaut, I think. Or was
Yeah.
Yeah, was that the... I think that might
and the other one was a close one.
As well. Hey Robert match.
He played Juggernaut in both of them.
Yeah.
I actually casted the Nilla versus US Presser John one.
Wait, what? Yes. With 9th cards?
No, he played Juggernaut in one match on Cora Calvina, and then on the second one he played Maverick.
Yeah, it looks like Presser John's strategy right now is that he will go with his Juggernaut deck first, and if that doesn't work, he'll try something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
he went
needs
with
to move
9th
away.
Cav Vanguard in his second game. What did you play, Nilla?
Maverick. 9th Cavs Maverick.
9th Cavs versus 84th.
Oh.
Yeah.
Vanguard.
That's a bad matchup. That's probably
there's a lot of bad matchup for 9th. That is one of the worst.
Yeah, like you have absolutely no advantage. Not even your airplanes.
Almost none, no.
Yeah. And then Gonzo versus Robert was the last game played. And yeah, Gonzo took that as expected, I guess, because Gonzo beat Robert lately all the time.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen Robert win against Gonzo once. So,
but
sort of an expected result, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just Gonzo's playstyle working super well against Roberts.
Yeah, I think Robert's definitely a more methodical player that plays towards the later stages of the match, whereas Gonzo and Nilla are definitely like all up front and
you also have to take into account that this was one of the games between Robert and Nilla was also on Brest West, where he got the very bad spawn.
That was the game cast this morning. The Nilla versus Robert one.
Right, and it was a 17-minute game.
Yeah, and Robert really dislikes that side of the map.
There's no especially against the 184th, where it's basically the best Soviet in terms of the amount of support weapons you can get. It's a hard matchup.
A lot of machine guns, unfortunately, not a lot of infantry guns.
Oh, really? Well,
yeah,
I was thinking
their
more
infantry support is actually not that good.
Well, what I meant was like infantry support and the AT weaponry. You get a lot.
AT weaponry is good, yeah.
Yeah.
They got the IOC 122s that do a good job.
So yeah, I mean, just looking back at the table, Gonzo on top with 6 points, 2 wins. Nilla, joint there with 6 points as well, but he has played 1 extra. US Presser John and Robert, so it's all open for Neff and Halbreg really to see how their results come in and how they change things around. Definitely,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to their games and seeing much more from that group.
Especially because those guys played them against each other in week 1. So yeah, really looking forward how Neff versus Outbreak there works out in
Yeah,
League
that
One.
could be a really important match against each other. Just to, yeah, that could definitely. We'll see if they get a draw as well. I think that really helps out US Presser John and here Robert.
Yeah.
If they draw against each other, although I suppose it's going to be really interesting to see how that develops and who goes through, because I think Gonzo and Nilla are pretty much cemented as the top two. I think we'll see how it develops, but definitely at this point you've got to put them top two, and then the other four, it's like who gets that third spot. So
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be exciting to see that. Let's just move on to group Manstein, group number 2, and I think
lots of action here as well.
Yeah, lots of games played by pretty much all the players, except like not necessarily everyone playing more than one game. If we concentrate on Group A for now, let's have a look at the matches, and then we'll have a look at the table.
So in Group A, it's basically all the favorites winning their games, I think. Like all the guys ahead.
Results seem to be a lot more decisive here.
It's Gove, Tunica, and Metalface winning their 3 games each, like 1 game each. And yeah, that's what I expected.
Yeah, I think I would have said that as well, yeah.
Though the games between Tunica and Skoda were relatively close.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's 0-2 at the moment, but yeah, he showed some good effort.
Metalphase, you casted that one of the games Tunique and Schroeder this morning, I think, came out.
Yeah, it was a really good game. But I think it should have been closer. I think Schroeder kind of let him win by taking that hill on the opposite side of the map and just letting him sit on it for the entire game.
Yeah,
if he hadn't done that, it would have been first of all a lot longer game, and perhaps more of an attrition fight.
Yeah, those were like 2 free flags that he took early on, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw most of that game. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see the very end of it, but definitely I think had he focused more on that hill earlier and focused trying to take that back, I think he would have taken that game much longer. And who knows what the result would have been. On the other hand,
his tank play and his infantry play, well, okay, his tank play was pretty excellent, and then his infantry play was better than Tunique's, I believe.
Yeah, in the city in the south, he just didn't seem to move forwards, did he?
Yeah, I think he could have
had
been
a
more
lot
aggressive.
of units just sitting there lazily while he could have pushed. Yeah,
like it's hard when you have Aftermachikis, because you're always second guessing your engagements because you don't know what has line of sight on it. But you sometimes, especially in that scenario, when you can house hop between all the way down the street.
and we also need to mention that it was like right after, like he could have moved all the Aftermachiki over to open because it was right after an off map.
Yeah. I think both players kind of misunderstand the use of the off map as more of a stunning tool than an actual killing.
Yeah, even the heaviest ones. Yeah,
but off map is just so strong now. Like I don't know whether I would call it overpowered. I don't think
it's not overpowered because it's not overpowered because it doesn't outright kill enemies, and what you will find often is if your off map can miss pretty easily as well. It cannot hit the mark because you bombard a section, it pins down about 3 units, but those 3 units are covered by something else, and the off map was all for naught essentially.
Yeah, I think
off map is due to the bigger maps. Off map is just so much weaker than Steel Division Normandy 44.
Yeah. It normally works. It works really well if your opponent hasn't moved for a while.
Right.
If you know for a fact that he's gonna sit still right there, and you already have a plan made up to rush those positions right after the off map comes in.
Yeah, I think if you get the right off map, if you catch it in the right place and you catch the enemy units in there, it can just be devastating, but there are, like Proto Soccer says as well, with the size of the map, there are times when we see off maps go down and there's literally no one even in the off map.
Yeah, I see a lot of off maps hitting like in Aufklärer in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like wondering, what did I do to deserve this?
I think there was one. There was one in the Herr Robert Niller game as well, where he put an off map down, and there was like one infantry unit in it.
Yeah,
It's
happens all
just
the time.
like, yeah, total waste.
And I just played a game of Division Normandy 44 with 3rd FJ, 3rd Fallschirmjägers versus 101st Airborne.
Yeah.
So both of us have 300 plus millimeter
Oh,
up map, and that
Oh, yeah.
was killing so much stuff. It was just not used to that anymore.
Yeah,
It was
the
just
big
so
guns will
damage.
still kill stuff. Like the Hungarian off map that comes with the Focke-Wulf 189.
Yeah, but
That
still
hurts
not-
a lot.
But still not as deadly as in Normandy 44,
No,
where you
in
like
Normandy
just
44,
crush stuff.
it's a lot more concentrated, so yeah, it will do a lot more damage. Not mention you have less units on the field overall, so every
Yeah.
unit you lose is hurts.
Oh my god.
so Tiger wants the third
Tiger.
FSJ back, but
I also want them back. They're a good choice.
Yeah,
I like
same.
them.
I just
I
wanna
would
see,
like them as well.
I just want to see the FG42s back in the game.
Yeah,
Like 91st Luftland is fine as well.
Yeah, I was a bit it's sad that there are no real FJs in Fallschirmjäger Panzer.
Yeah, but yes, enough reminiscing. Let's talk more about the
Yeah.
results here.
well, I just
Yeah.
wanted to mention Skoda's comment. He is in the chat, and he was saying that he was thinking of retaking that central hill, but most of his units come in slow transport, so it was difficult to get to the hill.
Yeah, so
You don't mean the ZIS 5, you mean the ZIS 42. I'm guessing.
No, I think he did mean there's this 5 is like the little
Oh,
truck.
the ones that the Partizani come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, like, when you have that situation, you don't really have a choice. So what you do in that situation is you line up some trucks in the behind the hill, like near the light forest on your side of the map, and just you have to just go off road. There's no other choice than doing that, because otherwise you have to go through the road and they're gonna get picked off. So you're gonna be losing points during that time, but sometimes it's worth waiting and mounting a really successful concentrated force rather than just not.
Slightly unbalanced if you think about it, because while the one side can get their units relatively covered into the hill, the other side has a really rough time doing it. If once that little plain on the right under the hill by that little compound is covered by guns, essentially.
Right.
Yeah, I do think the side that Skoda was on is much more difficult to get to that position. I think you have
not
to.
A huge disadvantage, but you have to be aware of it.
Yes, yeah, you have to. You have to take them different routes at all. Like, you can't just let the AI move them to the position. You have to look after them. You have to call in your units to like behind the hill and then wait for move them along. You can move them behind the ridge line as well and then move them up, but it just takes a little bit longer and it's more concentration and more micro. And also at the start as well, I find that I often take them through that little swamp area between the rivers or the lakes, which is like not on the road, so it can take them longer to get there as well. So
yeah,
I do think that side is worse off.
Any other? So far we haven't had we had our in Group A. We essentially had everybody who we expected to win.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about Group B?
Group
There,
B?
there it is completely different, because we have my favorite player, at least, being last spot. Because Idaris lost his game, and he's the only one who only has a loss
Idaris.
so far.
And he was playing tonight, I think. Genzi mentioned it earlier.
Yeah, he just lost against Gaspar. That's
Oh.
the game in there.
Oh, so that result is up.
Yeah, that's the results up.
Right, okay, yeah. Yeah, so I saw him once in one of the tournaments, but I didn't really get to see him in full action. But yeah, Protosoccer, why is he your favorite?
Because he practiced a lot against Lolly and against Lossa,
Right.
and he played pretty well against them. And also from my own experience against him, he plays really good. and like I expected him to at least get a tie against Gaspar, who is a good player as well, but who also lost against Sehunder. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like really I expected Yardres to become first or second spot in the league, and with him losing that game, I don't know. Like, sure, you can just let's have a look at what divisions actually were. I don't know that, but let me
And
tell you.
Sehander has tied as well to Thomas, 38-24, or
Yeah.
Zbest Thomas. I think.
Who lost against Curbs, which is interesting as well.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
it's very.
Because
It seems very tight at the moment in that group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't particularly. I don't know. I didn't really rate Thomas 38-24 too highly after the previous tournament.
Yeah.
The Metal Gin tournament, because I think he was a little bit too conservative.
Yeah, but he practiced
his
a lot lately, I think. So maybe he changed.
But I think the tie against Sahandor is a big result as well. I mean, I was
Yeah.
behind Sahandor at the start of this. He does sit at the top at the moment, but you know, Curbs is right behind him with that 3 points. Sahandor's tie against Thomas, I think he will. I think Thomas picked up a good result there against Sahandor, and I think Sahandor will really like that. That will hurt him come the end of the season. That tie. I mean, there's still a lot of games.
Yeah, but that might cost him first spot, and that means you have to play one more game to get to the finals.
Yes, yeah. It's a very interesting group. That group being in Group Manstein. I mean, we've not seen Metallic play yet. So
I'm really interested to see Metallic because he hasn't played much in Steel Division 2.
Yeah,
he has played quite a bit in Steel Division 44.
And I think Curbs was in Group 1 last season, but struggled. And I think you know, he's a very good player, but you know, I think we were saying last week you can get results against him as well. So it's not really guaranteed there with just the one win to kind of be at the top of the group. Who knows? People could pull out results against him. Yeah,
Curbs is a hard player to play against, but you can win against him if you figure out how he plays.
So Handor's in the chat actually says that Thomas played really well. So yeah, I think it's a very tight group. I think just at this stage with only kind of a few results in, it's really hard to say how that group is going to develop.
Yeah, I mean, Sehander and Gov can still lose to any of the other players in the match, so the lead can be dropped.
Yes.
And yeah, who knows? I think I'll definitely be keeping an eye on this group for a bit longer, see how things develop.
Yes.
Probably a lot of fun to watch.
Let's move on to Group Rokossovsky. I can't pronounce that.
Rokossovsky.
That's it.
Okay. I'd like to describe this group as the group of missed opportunities.
Yeah, look at all of the ties.
Watching a few of these matches, I think hurt me physically. Because of course we had, you know, when we're watching the match, we have the advantage of, you know, seeing both sides and you know, going like, you know, I'm armchair general. I can tell you that tank needs to be over there. It needs to be going around and blah blah blah. But you know, it just did not come across them, but come across their minds when they were, you know, initially playing. I mean, after all, these guys are all relatively new to the game. After all,
And like they all had a plan going into a game.
Yes,
and
they did.
But
they all had a plan and then forgot about it as soon as first contact happened.
That happens to me though. That happens to me.
It was entertaining. It was entertaining nonetheless, and very exciting to see who would, you know, come out of this, because you don't know. Suddenly he might notice that the entire flank of his opponent is occupied by a total of 2 Ersatztruppen, or the fact that his King Tiger could literally just drive around the town and cut everything off. And it's essentially a roulette of who's gonna notice it first? Who's gonna notice it first? So
yeah,
it's fun to watch. It's fun to watch.
And their micro ain't too bad, and like in the fights, often they at least most of their stuff works out. but they
The
just
engagements are really
don't
good,
see the big picture as well as the top players. That's
yeah, they
what
get.
the difference is.
I mean, it's typical tunnel visioning, right? I mean, we've all had
Yeah.
it when we started in this game. Like when we initially played the game, we're very focused on this one one infantry fight, trying to push a flank, and then when we zoom out, we realize we missed about 5 notifications of about 3 infantry units just melting on the other flank, and you're like, "Whoops! What happened there? I didn't even see what killed them." And that sets us off into a panic, right?
Hmm.
So it's all just a case of making sure that you're aware of the situation that's happening around you, and also reading the front line is definitely a skill that is that one needs to work on in the game. For example, if you read the front line correctly, you might notice that, oh, my opponent doesn't have much there. Or if you keep pushing and the front line isn't moving, it's like, oh, he definitely has at least a force equal to what I have coming up here on the front line. I should probably be a little bit more cautious.
I think as
Yeah.
well in this kind of level, group Rakoskovi, I think they have like these players. They definitely have the basics nailed down, and they can definitely like win games.
Yeah,
and
we've
attack
given
and
them
win
some
games.
tips after their matches. Like we've been spectating them all together in the Discord. David G, for example, came in right after his match against
David G
Alexander.
actually is not in this group.
So we have one more group. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, we
the
have one
group
more
below.
group.
But yeah, I think this
Getting ahead of
group is
myself. Sorry,
like
my bad.
this group is like where the little things start to develop. I think I was I was chatting with Finzent the other day about kind of microing infantry units just behind the building to keep them, out of line of sight and stuff. It's like the really small details start to come in at this point. And
Yeah.
I think these players, like, they can definitely play games and take victories, and that's why we're seeing the ties, I think, because they can definitely play well and aggress, and it's not necessarily like who gets to a position and then defends. They can definitely attack. It's just the little things that kind of keep them from the next stage, I think, at this point.
I think what is missing probably like noticing the minute details.
Yes,
in the whole system that you have before you. They've got the macro game down. Like they're deploying the correct troops. They are like they're like taking the correct points on the map. But whenever it comes to either dealing with a strong push, like how are you supposed to handle the defense of that, and what do you do if it's like crumbling? And trying to recover from that is probably one of the next steps, and the other one is probably trying to figure out when to push, because the pushes themselves are all fine. Like the composition is correct, the units are correct, the way you guys micro that stuff is correct. However, oftentimes I find the timing is incorrect.
Yeah, like
Because,
or the timing between like different pushes on the map. Like
and often
one comes in and then dies off, and then the other comes in, and if they would have come both in at the same time, they actually would have achieved
that.
victory.
And I find the main that is normally a result of a mistiming to begin with, because either when you're attacking, I see like them holding about 2 to 3 minutes too long, and then that window of opportunity is gone. Because within those 2 to 3 minutes, his opponent called in like about 2 to 3 about a bunch of trucks of infantry to cover up his front, and by the time the push starts, they're already entrenched. They have their cover bonus, and the offensive just stalls and takes a lot of losses, opening them up to counterattack. And
you
then
can see that in my streams
and then essentially trying to save that offensive, they lose a bunch of units in trucks and stuff because their offensive has already died.
Yeah, you can see that in my streams really well.
Defensive.
You can see that really well in my streams because you see a lot of games where someone kills so much of his enemy's units, and there's just like one that starts holding the front line, and it's just so funny when I like screaming at them, please move them on, please move them on.
And by the time they move, it's already been reinforced with 2 Panzer Grenadiers and an AT gun. Yeah.
But
And
yeah, that's
Sorry.
so easy to say when you see the neutral perspective. Like as a caster, I always feel bad when I have to say it, but it's just like you don't see it when you're on the same
yeah,
stage.
we have omnipresence over the battlefield, which they don't have.
Yeah.
I think just looking at the result, I think Wondernoob beating Nebs, I think that was a nice result for Wondernoob. Will have given him a lot of confidence. I think
It was pretty decisive victory as well.
Yeah, I think
Wondernoob, I think, looked really, really strong there in this group.
Yes, I was just going to say that. I think I had him as the pick for kind of winning the group, and I think he's a very good player, and I think he will win, and he will go up next season into the group above, and it's probably just a nice confidence boost to get that sort of first win under his belt.
I'm so happy to see Evil Nick with 2 ties, because he was really worried. He was the guy going up from League 4 last season, and he was like super worried that his League 3 would be too strong for him. But he got good 2 ties in there, and it was like really close matches all of the games. So really good to see him getting there.
Yeah, and he's
being up to par.
He's unbeaten, and he can certainly, pick up another couple results and definitely take himself into the playoffs and, forwards from there.
Yep.
So
yeah, I think Group A is pretty open, but I think Wondernoob will get out. That's the only thing that I'm pretty certain about.
Yes.
Not sure about the rest of the guys.
Thank you for the follow, GT Strong. My alerts aren't working right now, but very much appreciate the follow there. Metal Phase, what's your thoughts on these 2 groups? Anything else to add?
Yeah, I think Wondernoob is probably the best of the bunch. Probably in the division overall. Well, Finzen is actually okay. No, okay, it's between him and Finzen.
Finzen is a strong contender.
Yeah.
Gensei got a lot of practice on lately.
And Gensei Kaka as well.
I think we said it last week. All of that Group B are I think that Group B is very strong.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I remember watching the Wondernoob versus Nabes replay on Rangru's channel, and I didn't really like Neb's selection of units at the very start. It was just too weak for the 14th Infantry, for what they have available to them. I think he didn't have any medium tank until like Phase B.
Oh, and Wondernoob did that fantastic push with the Tanko de Sanikis, didn't they?
Yeah, but that shouldn't be unexpected.
Well, 14th don't really get medium tanks.
Sure, but like
they have Stugs, but
I think he also he invested in a lot of anti-air and a lot of support.
The early flak feelings probably cost him a lot of money. They cost
right.
That is free more infantry squads he could have on the field instead, or 2 AT guns.
Yeah.
So, the flak feelings were a bit of a poor choice. Not sure why he was entirely worried of an early airstrike.
Still better than Gaspard getting in his AA. Oh, it's too late in the game I casted today.
Oh, right.
That was so funny. Yeah, I casted it this morning.
It's like eating
really
one early airstrike is fine, especially it was Turin, wasn't it? Against which you fought, right?
Yeah, it done. That was the loss of Gaspard in the morning today. Whom you're talking about? Oh, no, you're talking about Wondernoob versus Napes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't know.
Wondernoob was playing Turin, right?
I think so.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
Oh dear.
Napes was playing 14th Infantry.
I remember the 14th part.
Yeah,
yes.
wasn't Wondernoob playing 184th? He had the early off map. I can't look. Unfortunately, I can't look at the results in the Discord.
I have the YouTube video open right now. Yeah, he was playing 184th. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
I thought he was.
All the more reason to not really worry about an airstrike, to be honest, since 184th doesn't exactly have a strong early air game. They mostly rely on their IL-4s that come in later.
I think it maybe comes down to a little bit of division,
It's
knowledge.
Division matchup knowledge, yes.
Yeah. And in any case, a single 20mm gun is not going to really prevent anything.
Yeah, but at least the 20mm guns are really good for stuff like Korok, for example, where they have a lot of aircraft that would linger around, right?
Sure, yeah.
So for those, you would want the 20mm just to tell them to
Help
get
in
out
the
of here.
Right.
yeah, help in
So
the dogfights. And
Yeah.
then in Group B, this game was excellent.
Big Jim versus Crippling Depression.
And
And
This
yeah.
sounds like
Big
sounds
Jim,
like a fever dream.
Big Jim, I think, just joined us in the chat, and I appreciate the follow there, Big Jim. But yeah, sorry, go on.
yeah, that was an excellent match. And I'm so sad I couldn't do it justice in my cast because I casted I came back yesterday from a super exhausting day. And I was just so hyped to cast this game. I wanted to cast even more games, but game one was fine, but both games were super long actually. Like the first one was going 43 minutes, and the second one was going like an hour, I think.
Whoa,
But
okay.
both really good games, both really really good and tough games. And in the second game, I just was falling asleep like for seconds, like always like 10 seconds falling asleep, and then or not even like dreaming, and then talking over about the dream, and then snapping back into reality into casting. It was just such a weird feeling, and I'm so sad I couldn't do the second game as much justice as it earned because it was a really good game between those two guys, and they both look pretty strong actually.
Well, I definitely look forward to seeing more of them in the future. Let's move on to Group Gadarian, Group 4.
Yeah.
And a few results coming in from this area, a few wins and losses.
Alexander doing really well for himself.
Yeah, Alexander picking up 2 wins. I definitely think he's gonna. He's definitely put himself in sort of pole position at that point.
6 points is a good lead, yeah.
Yeah, his game against I think Rangru and Khan castled game against Little Tiger against David G.
Yeah.
It looked really decisive.
Yes, I think that was the first game of the 2, and I aimed to cover the second game because I saw a bit of it. Can't remember where I saw it. Were you casting that one, Proto?
No,
No.
we were watching it on Discord.
That was it.
joined
Yeah,
in on a live stream.
it was on Discord. Lolly was showing it on Discord. And the second game, I think David had a lot more opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a few missed ones as well.
Yeah. I think he had a big missed opportunity in the southern half of the map
he did.
as Lolly was casting it. So I do aim to bring that one to YouTube, and I think if he can look at that replay and kind of that might guide him a bit more and realize that actually he had a massive opportunity to gain huge ground in that southern side. I think there was just like we said earlier, like one Erzatz trooper holding the entire southern flank for
he did also
Alexandra.
lose. He also lost a lot of manpower simply to using the move command instead of the attack move command, which was unfortunate as well. Like I think, like that alone would have made quite a difference. I think, and he could probably have actually won the game if I'm honest.
I definitely think this the second game out of that 2, he had a chance to win it for sure. So I'm going to be quite pleased to bring that one. Stockton picks up the win against. Let's just have a quick look against Enemies Forever, and then Alexander picks up the other win against a lot, which I think.
Do we know how those games went?
No idea.
The one between a lot and Alexander. You mean? That one pretty.
Both, honestly, because I haven't seen any of them.
I think that was also pretty decisive, and
For who?
understandably so for Alexander,
Okay.
because a lot has not that much, like really little 1v1 experience, but he's really interested in learning it. I'm looking forward how he develops over the season.
Yeah,
He's definitely a motivated player, that's for sure.
Yes, it'd definitely be good to see how he does. And then in Group B, Vasily takes the top spot at the moment with his first win. And wrong button there. That was over Staniskovsky. And then Jewism and Kissing. Yeah,
that was a interesting set to watch. Duzium versus Kissing. Yeah, that was a really interesting set to watch.
Yeah.
It was very back and forth. And
that was so much fun to cast. The M8, the mate rush out of Duzium
The M8 rush, the running out of infantry, the god, and and also it was a emotional roller coaster for sure. That match.
Yeah, it was super close.
That was a highlight.
second one.
I definitely recommend people trying to go and find VOD for the second match of Kissinger versus Diosium, because that is that was a fun match to watch.
Yeah, I don't think I uploaded that one to YouTube, but it's in my
It's
Twitch.
still on Twitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's
Sorry,
like
go on.
one long VOD that it's too
Yes.
long for YouTube. It's like 5 hours of me casting. I don't know really how to cut it off. So yeah.
Okay, so I think that covers the groups and the results so far. I just we also wanted to do something else this week and have a look at a few decks and compare some decks, and hopefully this is to help out the players in this group, Group Gadarian Division 4. And the idea is that we're going to have a look at a couple of their decks from the games, and then we're going to compare them as well to some
I'm sure
Group
this will be
1
useful
decks.
for Division 3 as well.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting for everyone really, and we'll see, because we've got some Group 1 decks as well, some Division 1 decks, so I'm sure everyone will take something from this. However, this was put together by me sort of last minute, so hopefully it will look okay on the screen. So first up, we've got Enemies
fine, yeah.
Forever from that Group 4. He did lose out in the game against Stockton. This was the deck that he played, the Group Hartnick deck. So I just wanted to capture your guys' thoughts of, this deck and maybe where he could improve the deck a little bit.
So the first thing coming in my mind is why 2 Opal Blitz in B. Like, you don't need that many Hartonic.
Yeah.
The Stu 42 and the Panzer 3 kind of don't really need to be both in the deck, I think.
Panzer Free?
He has both the Panzer 3 and the Stu 42.
But there is no Panzer Free.
The Panzer 3N.
That's a looks.
No, it's a Panther 3N.
Oh,
It's
in the
that
support
one. Sorry.
tab,
Oh
yeah.
god, I was looking at the tank recon tabs. My bad. I apologize.
Yeah, so I think definitely the support tab could use a little bit of clearing up, and that should give him some points. Well, either he could drop that B phase card of supplies and give him a few points elsewhere. Also, I think the artillery tab as well. There's quite a lot of mortars in there. He's got the mortar half track and then lots of mortars as well. So I think that could do his help. And where are the battery Führer? That's quite surprising not to see battery Führer in there.
I think the changes I would probably make to the artillery tab is just take out the 2 field mortars and only go with the mortar half tracks. You really don't need more than 3 of those. They are incredibly cost efficient and really good units, especially because they're a mortar unit that comes with corrected shot, which is incredibly good.
And 40 shells.
They will snipe infantry squads and field guns for you, no problem. And then probably replace it with 1 Batterieführer in B or A, depending on how you wish to go about this. Infantry tab, I'm now noticing one specific unit that shouldn't be there, and that's it's the normal Reitjäger. For 35 points, a squad that is mainly armed with MP40s, just don't.
Especially in a deck where you have MP44s.
Yeah, you have the Reitjäger with MP44s. You have plenty of other better units. Just don't bother with them.
Oh, and I don't remember how many anti-tank guns they have, but I'm sure they must have more than 1 Pack 40 card.
No, they actually don't.
Nope, they don't. They actually don't. Their AT tab is pretty limited. Actually, that AT tab for that looks pretty fine for Hartnick. I would probably put some vet on the Martyr ones, but otherwise it looks fine.
Right. Okay.
Maybe bring in a card of the cheap 45 mils that they get.
Yeah,
I would have something cheap on the front in the beginning.
I'd rather have that than the Martyr, to be honest.
I think
they only get Martyr ones, I think.
Vasily asked quite a good question here. In fact, I think it was Sahandor that said sort of Hartnick balanced, perhaps suggesting that Hartnick balance wasn't a good choice of income. Vasily was asking what kind of income you'd play them in. But personally, with Hartnick, I think they can be played in all incomes. I don't think they're a deck that maybe shines in one of the incomes. I think they can be used in all of them.
They can be played in all of them, but they really shine when it comes to Vanguard income.
Yeah,
And
because for balance, they just lack the artillery tab.
they lack the
Like-
artillery tab, they lack the AA tab, they lack their air tab. As great as it is that they have that many slots, the aircraft they get aren't exactly that amazing outside of the Me410s. And like if your opponent brings enough infantry support onto the field, it can actually get a bit rough for this division.
I think, yeah, but then they do have the Tigers in there. It depends who you're up against, I think, in that regard. The Tigers, they can definitely hold their ground and help out against the sort of infantry support weapons.
You will lose out to IS-2 divisions, however.
Yeah,
which is what you sort of need the Me410s for, but relying solely on Me410s forever is for very long. Like trying to last until the late into C phase with only Me410s as your anti-tank against IS-2s is rough. Simply because most IS-2 divisions come with pretty decent AA, which they could definitely afford at that time. By that time, yeah.
Okay, let's.
So they really shine in Vanguard.
Let's just
So
have a look at Hey Roberts Group Hartnick. So this is Hey Roberts Group Hartnick that he played in Group 1. I think he did lose the game that he played this in, but this one's obviously a Group 1 deck. So
what I liked about this one, it has all the tigers in. That was also something missing.
Yeah,
He didn't have
he has all
the
the
tiger
tiger
leaders. So that's one important thing in Hartnick. Tigers are such beasts in Steel Division 2 because they're pretty cheap actually for a heavy tank, and they are so versatile. They have good HE damage, they have good side armor, and they penetrate most of the Soviet stuff other than IS-2s.
yeah, I think completely different support tab, completely different artillery
It's
tab,
completely
completely
bare.
different air tab, and the anti-tank as well. They do have those 45s instead of the Marders, but yeah, the air and I think the artillery, if we look at here, Robert, he does have those mortar half tracks, but the 2 off maps in there as well, and I think they're quite strong off maps as well. I can't quite see from this, but
they come with a free 80 mil.
yeah.
No, do they?
No, 105 millimeters on
105.
the and
No.
210 on the planes.
Yes, exactly. They get the 210 mils off map, which is only 95 points, by the way. That is pretty cheap for such a strong off map. Although I think they only get 2 barrages of it.
Yeah. I think that's right.
Sahander is saying why
Don't
no
quote me on
Panzer 3N.
That's a trade-off, I guess.
I think
for
it's
the
personal
off-map.
choice.
I also think
yeah.
like when you have hussars, you don't really need too much infantry support.
No, you don't. Huzarok will be their own support.
Yeah, and you already
Yeah.
have the Panzer. You already have the Panzer, the VKs 9s, the like the Panzer 2 kind of thingy.
It looks prototype, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have the. Then you can just trade the Panzer 3N for the off map. Like that's the trade he did. One more artillery slot for one less support slot.
I think
Which is totally fine.
Also fundamentally, this is a Vanguard deck rather than a balanced deck.
but at the same time, this is here Robert, so he does pick Vanguard incomes, but he plays them more in a balanced style.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, with all the C-Phase, like one card of C-Phase Tigers, one card of C-Phase 2 Star Stux, and then 2 cards of C-Phase Infantry. So that's really for the long run there.
Yes, yeah. So just before we move on, Jimenez has just posted a question in chat. He says, we were talking about the timings earlier and how you detect the timings about moving forwards on attacks. He was saying, do you probe or do you analyze? I don't know whether Frublord, do you want to spark in with something there?
Experience. It really all just comes down to seeing it 100 times, honestly. And the best way to learn it is through replays, because you notice certain patterns in the front, but once you've seen them a lot of times, right? and it's
Yeah.
like, oh god, okay, I got wrecked that match, or that match I won but went relatively slow, or I won it decisively. Might as well look at all the replays, see what I did well, see what I could have done better, right?
Yeah,
And if you go ahead and look at the replay, you will often find that you will often find your missed opportunities. It's like, oh, I could have pushed that, no problem. Why didn't I do that? And if you just look at how the front line is formed in that case, you start just instinctively making connections between how the front line looks and what kind of units are probably there, or how much is there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my two things are like, yeah, as a StarCraft player, watch your replays. That's like I
Watch
missed
your
the feature
replays.
from StarCraft that you like in StarCraft when you end the game, you instantly can click on rewind and go back into the game and just see the whole game as a replay, like instantly from the point
This
you lost.
counts for any competitive game you will ever play in your that
And-
you will ever play, because the only way you can gain objective information to your match is by looking at it back again, because if you're in the match, your perspective on it is completely different. You're
then
thinking differently.
The second tip I usually do is, you know the division your opponent plays, but you might not know all the stuff that is in there. So look at your own deck of it before you get into the game. Like just have a look on it and think about shortly about what you could exploit in there actually.
Yeah.
Like
And Medal Phase, you actually recently did a video there that I've just posted in link about
Yeah.
about probing. So I don't know whether you've got anything to add as well.
Nothing that Frubler hasn't already said.
Yeah, I
Pretty
think
much.
you should definitely check out that video. I've just linked it in chat. That was Metal Phaser's video on probing as well. So hopefully that will help as well. Let's just move on to another deck. We have up now on screen. We have Staniskovski's first Polish deck, which he did actually lose in the game to Vasily with this deck. So yeah, I think first Polish.
It's pretty decent, actually.
Those are my favorites, but that infantry tab looks horrendous already.
Do you think so?
Ooh, the
Yeah,
C phase
because
leaders.
What on earth are you doing with
Yes.
with those leaders in C?
Yeah, C phase leaders definitely I should be changed.
Not to mention, you've already got, let's see, you already got 8 plus 3. You've got 11 leaders in your deck already. What do you need the extra 8 at the end for? Get rid of them. Waste of activation points. Tanks looks fine. I actually have the same setup. Support looks fine. The polls are pretty limited in that department. AT tab looks fine. Maybe I'll put double vet on the SU5. I don't take them in my deck anymore. I've replaced them with a bunch of other stuff, but
you get SU76s in this deck. I would rather take these guys.
SU76s are a little bit more reliable, yeah. And
they have a radio for helping out with your SU76 artillery.
Yes.
You can bring those guys. Then they have a better rate of fire.
Yeah, they're the PPANCs, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then they also have they have good HE shells as well, so they are helpful.
Yes. One thing that's really nice about that artillery tab of the polls is I did not realize this until recently. Sean mentioned this actually. Shoutouts to him. They are the only division that get the M30 122 mils in Studebekers. Which means they have incredibly heavy support guns that they could get to the front at the same time as their infantry. And instead of using them like artillery guns, you can use them like infantry support guns, or heavy AT guns as well, which is pretty fun to use actually. Especially once the front moves forward slightly, you can still use them as close in artillery support. Air tab.
Yes, sorry, go on.
Air tab. Do not take that Yak free card.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Wait, are those cluster bombers? No, right? Okay, no.
Take the Yak 1Bs rather. The Yak 3s are not good.
Yeah, you at least get more of them.
Are the Yak 3, do they come up vetted as well? Or is that
Yes, you have no option
to
down vet them. And they only come in A?
Yeah, it's just one card in A,
Yeah.
and you don't want to get that.
It's a pointless card. I don't know why they added it. At least give me 2 of them.
I
Well,
think as well, do you get more cards of the IL2M cluster AT planes? I'm sure you
No.
get more.
No.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
only-
No,
you
actually,
get,
you
you
get two.
get 2 cards of them in total.
You get 2 cards.
Yes, but that is enough normally.
Yeah.
Like AB setup, that's fine. The cluster bombers are fine. When it comes to the bomber IL2s, I hope that's the ones with the 250 bombs instead of the 100s.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to.
If
Yeah,
it's
that's
250
so-
bombs, it's
that's-
fine.
It is
the
because
one
of
in
the
A-
price, isn't it?
The one in A is the one with 50 kilogram bombs, and the one in B is the one with 250 kilograms.
No, they have the same price, so I think they're both the 250s. Because
Oh,
if I
right,
remember
right,
correctly,
right.
the 100 kilo bomb ones you get 3 of them in A.
Yeah.
You don't get 100 kilogram bombs anyway. It's 50 kilogram bombs. Or 50
One
kilograms.
thing that's worrying me a little is the M17 and A in the AA tab. That thing is not going to protect you from air. I suggest swapping it out with a 37 millimeter.
Do you think the M17? That's quite a good one, isn't it?
No. It's
No,
just
the only
no, it's
good
not.
one is the M15.
Oh,
M15 is the
right,
good one
okay.
because it comes with a combination of 50 cals that have high DPS and the 37 mil, which has the high damage.
Okay, yeah. So
The
I'm
The,
mixing
50,
that up.
the M17 is lovely as infantry support, though.
Yes.
Yeah, but
that
it's
is
a bit overpriced for infantry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
a similar.
Well,
Sorry.
but it's if you use it for infantry support, it's also close to the front line, which means that you have it as an dogfight support as well. So you win every dogfight above this thing because
Yeah, I think. I
it's
think
unlocking enemies super fast if they get close.
yeah, there's different options there. Let's have a look at the Division 1 deck. This is Lotta, his first Polish deck, and he actually beat. Oh, I don't know whether. Yes, it was this deck that he won
Beat
against
Sean
Sean with. So the previous deck I think was Vanguard income. This one balanced income, and
Interesting to see that he has 3 fighter cards in there, and he has the Act 3 in there.
Yeah, that is interesting. Very interesting.
And no artillery leader.
That's certainly not how I would play this deck, this division.
It's also different. I think there's a subtle difference in the infantry where he's using more Ozio Carney than
Yes.
the first player.
Yeah, Ozil and Kani are super good.
I'm
They're,
kinda-
They're
yeah,
really good,
I'm
yeah.
kind of guilty of not picking them, but I really probably should. be
There's
picking
no
more
reason
often.
to not take them.
Yeah,
They
because
are really good.
they're a bit
There's-
harder to use because of their it's one squad and they get as fast pinned as every other squad as well.
That's
Or
what
like
you got your Streltsy
of the
CKMs
Thunder.
for. You mix them in together and you have a damn good composition that it
Yeah.
will kill anything they come across.
yeah, but you have to be careful with them because they get pinned down real fast. And they are expensive
Surprising,
squads.
not as much as you'd expect. The fact that they're such a beefy squad sort of makes them a lot more resistant to damage than a lot of other disheartened units.
Well, but not to morale damage. The morale damage they take is the same.
Also,
Pretty sure.
Lhasa does not, or Lhasa it has no artillery leaders, but he's using 2 infantry leaders in A and B. So very.
So you have
yeah.
you have enough infantry cards with the Polish, so you can do that actually.
Yeah,
But
and also he also uses the M17s anyways.
Yes, he does also use those in there as well.
He's unfortunately got the M30 120 mils in the wrong transports. He's got them in the STZ5s instead of the Studebekers.
But
yeah,
I guess he's not. He hasn't been enlightened yet by
Yeah.
Sean.
But he
It's-
hasn't been enlightened by aggressive M30 placement.
I think he rather uses them as much as artillery spam because you can see he has like supply trucks in A, C, and then all his guys
Interesting
into supply trucks.
interesting the supply trucks in A though. Like
Well,
I'm
he has
not
yeah,
sure
supply
what it's
trucks-
supposed to supply, honestly.
For
It's
the
just for repairs and stuff. I think.
Yeah, but
because he has to supply trucks in B anyways. He has to
I'm
supply
I'm
trucks in B anyways with his
surprised.
howitzers. Like how so his 120mm howitzers have the supply anyways, so he can bring the other supply truck in an A.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I'm surprised of is though that he doesn't have any Ognomachikis. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have flamers.
Yeah, take the truck out and swap it out with Ognamichiki.
Okay, so let's move on. and
Because yeah, let's say this because we are all saying take the Ognomachikis and take your flamers in every deck you can, guys. They are good.
There's really no reason to not take them. No.
yeah, there was a post in the forums. I think it was Halbrag. It was like remove flamers,
saying to delete them.
Yeah, I actually I don't necessarily disagree because
he's got a point.
It's not because they're like. I think it's just because everyone's taking them in every deck. It's like it's a must-have unit. So I just think some changes around it.
Yeah, then nerf them. Like make their stealth health. The thing about flamers, many of you guys maybe don't know, in the chat is they have 4 health instead of 2 health.
Yeah, I saw the hidden health thing.
They have a hidden health thing, and maybe if you would nerf that down to 3 health. Like I think 2 health is too little for them because they are always at the front line.
It's
but
like the
if
snipers.
They would get nerfed, if they would get nerfed down to 3 health, then they might actually be a choice instead of a must pick.
Absolutely.
Not sure.
Right, let's just move on. We've got 2 more divisions that we want to cover. Not too long. Unfortunately, I have a bad screenshot here of this one. And this was 209 Stockton's Bazugly deck that he won against Enemies Forever. I apologise for the bad screenshot, but it is what it is. Comments?
The phase availability covering up. I can at least tell somewhat what units are there.
Looks like a Strokey DP Strokey DP in A phase, right? What is that?
It looks fine. Honestly, I'd probably invest a little bit more in air and AA. The M15 in A is a bit of a waste. I'd probably take that in B instead to get at least 1 more.
Yeah.
And push the 37 mils to A.
Plus, he's got the option for another card in there. I don't know whether they have another 37, but it's only 1 point, so I'm sure he could find that.
I'd also maybe not take the KV1S.
I don't know, the KV1's fine.
I don't know, because I feel like you can cover it. You can cover it with the recon vehicles, because I feel like you want to take every advantage you can get with the air tab. And it's kind of a bear. The air tab for the Bazooka in this deck is kind of bare. There's no.
Oh no, I don't think so. The Bazooka air tab is better than Turins in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he means in this
cluster
one.
IL2s, they got rocket IL2s, they got the rocket P2s, they got A20Cs.
I think
they got Yak-1Bs. Like their air tab is probably their strongest tab.
I think that's what Metal Phase is saying. That actually.
Yeah, you wanna double down on the air tab.
Sorry, my bad. I'm missing it.
And so I feel like sacrificing a little bit somewhere else could be worth it.
Yeah,
especially for something as inconsequential.
He could sacrifice about 3 cards in the recon tab.
Yes, I was looking at the recon tab as well. Let's have a quick look across at Robert's Bazugly deck. Definitely the recon tab looks different, although the air tab as well actually isn't as heavy. No anti-tank airplanes in that air tab.
However, you can see that he's gone heavier on the Arty though for that.
So maybe this is more of a situational deck. I see that it's Maverick income type.
Yeah, it's Maverick.
So this may maybe not be built to go up against sort of heavy tank divisions.
Yeah, this looks like an anti-infantry deck.
Yeah, I think
it looks like he hasn't exactly adjusted this deck in a while.
Well, this deck was played.
This was played.
Yeah, I'm not sure the game that it was played in. But it was played in one of his games in Group 1.
It's interesting to see that all Phase B players take their superior Division 1 Group B players. All of them have the superior PPSHs in their decks.
Well,
like Nilla. Yeah, Nilla played with them. Herr Robert plays with them, and Prester John. All of them play with superior PPSHs.
I just don't see why. I just can't.
Because they need to. All of them rush with them like super hard. Like they rush with like 25 jeeps over the map.
I think this is it. It's all in. But I think the idea is it's all in on the rush.
Well, they do it with both. Yeah. They do it with Ognomachiki, with Saparis in the front, so that they beat all the Ognomachikis of the enemy.
Yeah,
and then they win frontline.
Nillis.
Only division I actually have that kind of composition on is 9th Cav.
Yeah, I
Ranked
mean,
all-
Nilla's posting he's saying that they're good and it's all about positioning, and it's only 100 points. So I think it's all
Yeah.
about the play style and how you play with them. And I think this deck is set up to advance very early on in A and use that Maverick income and really not. I don't think this deck is necessarily meant to go very long. He only has the 2 C phase cards there, so I think he's all in. Maybe an anti-infantry deck, and he's just all in early on.
One thing that I find, like, one thing that I was just thinking about is that if you're playing with such a small time frame with a Maverick deck, you might not even need the SU-88 in there, because once their opponent gets something that heavy that requires the SU-88, he's you can probably find somewhere else to push.
Yeah, here's the thing though: a IS-2 or a Tiger can show up in Phase A, so SU-88 is a nice thing.
I don't know. It's just I don't think you would be going up against a lot of IS-2 divisions with this deck.
Yeah, then if you go up,
quick play, rank play.
I mean,
Like,
maybe-
we have,
Well,
we,
but
we
this is
also
not
have
a
to
ranked-
consider situations outside of the tournament.
this for sure ain't a ranked play division though.
No,
Otherwise, you would have the IL-2 cluster bomber in there.
I
I'm
mean,
not entirely
maybe
sure what you would want to achieve with this deck personally.
I think this is probably a counter pick deck. Unfortunately, I can't see the division that it was played against. I don't know if you can check in Discord in the.
Let me have a look. Against whom he played with this? You remember?
No, let me have a look at the games.
Also,
I think it was
Nella-
US Press. It might have been against US Prester John. This one.
Oh, can am I allowed to talk?
Yes, go. No, I'm
Oh,
here.
yeah.
I'm here.
Okay, yeah, like so Nella's saying like it is trying to say that the superior PPSH are pretty decent, and I don't disagree that they're good. It's just I don't think they're card efficient, because that just means
Not
you have to.
entirely worth a slot. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't. I would take them on all of my decks for sure, but I don't know if I would sacrifice one card slot for them. That's my only problem.
Yeah, they can be incredibly annoying if you manage to like hide them in every nook and cranny behind the front line, and once in a while get a Panzerfaust off. But I would not. I mean, in some decks, that one infantry slot is just too valuable to spend on superior PPSA.
What? Robert played this deck against Fallschirm Panzer Hermann Göring. Weird
Wow.
choice.
Who was the opponent?
Gonzo.
It was against
wow.
Gonzo. Well, maybe it was. Maybe he kind of felt like he wanted to try something different against Gonzo. So that could have been it.
Okay, I can tell you for a fact this deck does not beat HG.
Well,
Yeah,
let's move on from this one. Let's have a look at the final one.
Yes.
Now, this is Letiger's 84th Guards deck, and I do know that he has changed this deck.
I actually helped him adjust this one, yeah.
Yeah, but this is the original one that he took into the game. So, Football, maybe as you helped him adjust this one a bit, maybe you could talk through a couple of the changes.
Yeah, sure. I think the first thing that immediately pops out, we told him to take the last IS-2 card into A. That was the IS-2 leader, which he did not have. So instead of having 3, he had 4. I think what else immediately popped up was
The Konaya Razvedka.
yeah, the Konaya Razvedka should be removed because they're just taking up one activation point without much reason, because you've got plenty of infantry, and Konaya you would normally get as a supplement.
They doubled
if
that
you're
on the
actually running
M42, I think.
Uh,
The M42
I don't know,
cards.
my opinion on double vetting M42 has been shifted around a bit. Like I can see the use of double vetting them because of simply due to fire rate and accuracy. Like these guys.
Yeah,
will be
when you have
firing
two,
almost
when you
as
have
fast
2
as a
cards
machine
of them.
and he has 2 cards of them, so it's absolutely fine. Now that I think about it, the air tab, I think we told him to take the PE3 out and add
Yeah.
more IL-2.
Oh my god, yeah, holy shit. Please don't. Or take
A8 have,
P3s.
I think,
I think they
A8
only have
have,
two
oh,
machine
sorry.
guns. I think the P3s only have a 12.7 and a 7.62 or something like that,
yeah,
or something, whatever the Russian.
something like that. Yeah, their firepower is a bit meager.
Well, they have a 20 and a 50 cal.
Oh,
No,
okay,
250
okay.
cals.
No.
So it's not too bad, but they are such a they're flying like a bomber. They're slow. They don't maneuver at all, and their resilience is good. But yeah, that doesn't help you in the dogfight.
It's really what you would get to take out Stukas.
Yeah,
But
only
why would you
Stukas.
take that if you've got the Yak 1B instead?
It's cheaper.
Yeah,
We told him to take the M17 out. Because that's not really doing much for him in this case. Like if you once again, M17 10 times more useful as infantry support. But it won't do much air protection against you, air protection for you. So,
And Nil
yeah.
away didn't- Sorry, go on, Proto Soccer.
Rather take an 85 millimeter, which really covers air,
yeah.
like a lot of air.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Not to mention if you don't want to bring IS-2s onto the field because you're probably playing against a division that has like 88 mils all over the place, then the 85 mil will do you fine in taking out Tigers and Panthers.
Okay, so let's have a look at the this is Nilla's deck actually of the 84th Guards. I'm not sure, he is in the chat, so maybe you can tell us who he played
No
this one
T-34.
against. But yeah, very I imagine this one Maverick income, one C phase card I can see there. So I think this was this was the game against Prester John. Where was he playing the was this the one where he played the Juggernaut income? Was it the other one? This was against the 9th Cav. So the 9th Cavalry game.
That was the other one.
Yeah.
That was the one on the open. Lutsk West is the map, I think.
Wasn't it Gora Kalvaria?
No, that was game 1. This is game 2 on
game one,
Slutsk West.
Yes.
On Slutsk West, I think.
Yeah, so this was
So it's open
against
ground.
US Presser John, who was playing the 9th Cav.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very interesting. No T-34Es.
Yeah, but I can understand because it is that last slot does cost 4 points,
Yeah.
and you're sacrificing a lot in other tabs for it.
Yeah, and against 4th Cavalry, T-34.
Yeah, they're not going to go up well.
The 2 double vets on the M42 guns as well. So Nilla, I noticed in chat as well, he did say earlier that he was recommending to up vet the M42, so he did do the same here.
Yep.
What else do we have? Interestingly only one IL-237 card, but I guess it was against 9th Cav. I don't know whether
2 of them.
Yeah, he has 2 of them.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm missing the bomber variants. Yeah.
And then the sniper, two squads of snipers, lovely.
Those are awesome.
Brilliant, like that.
I like the snipers as well.
Interesting the choice to double vet one of the snipers as well.
Faster fire rate.
One single fire and one double fire. Double vet, sorry.
Yeah. Once again, he says rate of fire. Yep.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see the choice there to go with one with single vet and one with double vet. It's very interesting.
Vincent is asking about the double vetted mortars, and in my opinion, like I never actually whenever I pick them unvetted, I never actually get to use all of them. So
yeah.
You might as well vet them up and get the extra advantage of the accuracy and rate of fire.
Yeah, the rate of fire especially is super good with double vet mortars, especially if you get them in pairs. It's such good infantry support.
Too bad with the cannon battery.
Though I would take.
Yeah, but it's just an 82 mil mortar. It's just 60 points.
Yeah, but
I would rather take the off map than the second card of mortars.
Maybe Nilla, he's in the chat, so maybe you can weigh in on this though. But Vincent does mention that he has the 4 unvetted.
I think it's just more like it's a depth thing. Like he has 2 of them that he will take first, and then he has the remainders in the back, just in just in reserve, unless he has a different answer.
Like,
Same with the snipers. Like you take the
right,
two
okay.
double-vetted snipers first, and then you have 4 in back.
so
Yeah, I'm seeing Miller's point. Yeah, like as I said, taking the 4 out and putting an off map in there makes it much better, I think, because
Yes.
you don't need 6 mortars.
So
like,
you called
how
that
often
one
do
right,
this?
Proto. You definitely called that one right.
Like maybe take one with like 3 mortars, maybe like take it with 1 veterancy instead of 2, but you don't need 6 mortars in there. And the off map is so good. 203 millimeters is doing a good job. It's expensive in 84, sadly. 140 points is a lot for off map, but 203 millimeters also does a lot of damage.
It's a good off map.
I think the other thing I'd like to mention on this one, the Cherno Pizzaniki in B phase. Now, I think David G I was having a conversation with, and Cherno Pizzaniki is fantastic infantry units, and
They're disgustingly good.
I would say, you know, I can imagine a nerf is coming to them in some form, but I think I can understand why people would take them in B phase, especially very good players, you know, someone like Nilla and Sean, because they are fantastic infantry, so you want the most of them you can get. But I think for starting players, I would probably just put them in A phase because they are cheap. You can get them out onto the field, you know, as soon as possible. And I'd rather have them on the field earlier to help me out. But I think I can understand better players will just go for more of them.
Yeah, but yeah, Channel and B is so strong. Getting 27 per card is just
It's ridiculous.
so crazy.
The availability on them and their equipment is just insanely good. You just get 27 cheap ass rifle squads.
It's like if every German deck would have troopers.
Yeah.
But with a better MG.
Yeah.
Right.
I guess the only way to really
Sorry,
balance. I guess the only way to balance them is to just nerf the availability, because
that's the only thing I see as well.
Well,
the price, because you don't really do much with a price buff or a price nerf, because you just get a Guardia squad that's disheartened and in a worse transport.
It's going to be interesting what they do, because I definitely think they need a change. The Ersatz.
No, I don't know. I don't know.
know?
I think just there in some divisions they are needed, but I like them in some divisions. Like I wouldn't nerf channels. I would just take them out of some decks, because in some decks they make the deck too strong.
I'd argue just in some decks they should have a different availability spread.
Maybe one of my ideas
that would probably make more sense, because you know Eugen wants to sort of hold to their like semi-historical, let's call it authentic part of the game. So I can understand if they don't want to take the Chernos out, but if they decide to keep the Chernos in, then some decks need their availability adjusted. 84th is one example, because 84th is already pretty strong, and then they added Chernos on top of it. It was like, whoa.
Yeah, or 26 where you get Chernos, Guardia DPs, Stomo Wiki Rock,
26 is also crazy.
and then Straff Nickies.
Yep.
That's like 26 is so crazy at the moment.
My vote would be to take the machine gun off them.
No.
No, I don't agree with that either.
Why not?
That would just make them Ersatztruppen, and then
exactly.
No,
but that's boring. Like, why do you have similar units on both sides?
Well,
it's like taking the fun out of the whole unit.
But that's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be the Russian equivalent of the Ersatztruppen in game terms.
Not
in
entirely.
Game terms.
Historically, they're not entirely the same as Ersatztruppen. Ersatztruppen are literal replacement units for frontline units. Chernos are whatever volunteers in apostrophes here. They could scrounge up from any territories they, in apostrophes, liberated.
Yeah, but I think if we look in game play perspectives only, they're there to fulfill the same role as the Ersatztruppen. So that's kind of why I say
they're not. They're to fulfill the same role that Shupos do.
Yeah.
They're the same. They're supposed to fill the same role that Shupos and Ersatztruppen, not Ersatztruppen, but Landesschützen do.
Ostruppen do, yeah.
Ostruppen as well. They are supposed to be frontline units, unlike the Ersatz. Although we do use Ersatz on the front lines very often, simply due to
points. The fact that they're cheap. But yeah, they're supposed to be frontline units, and they're supposed to be on the offensive. They're not just there to hold the ground. And I would like to keep that idea of them that way. It's just that there's too many of them, because with Maverick and Vanguard, you can just mash that Cherno button, and you have about 20 squad. 20. You can have all 18 squads on your front line, no problem, within like 2 ticks. That's
Ooh,
insane.
Nilla with the hot take by saying he doesn't like playing the 26 Strokovi.
Well, he might not
Throwing
like
out
it,
all the hot takes today.
but it's a super strong division. Even if he
It is
doesn't
a
like to
strong
play it, it doesn't change that it's a strong division.
Yep.
It has like some issues on some maps, but usually it's just so strong.
Right, so I
Hard
think
disagree on that one, Nilla.
185 is better.
I do not agree with that.
Yeah, no, like not at all.
Well, I think we'll
Truly.
leave it here. We've been up for almost 2 hours now, chatting through the results and looking at some decks. So, thanks to everyone who's joined us today, and hopefully we'll be back again with next week, same time, same place, next week for more action. Guys, do you have any final thoughts to add at this point? While we wrap
Yeah, I
up?
want to point out that if anyone who wants to support the tournament can go to the Matcherino page and support the prize pool of the tournament there with
Give us money.
hashtag. Yeah.
And yes, and any other thoughts from anyone else?
I will play my games soon.
I did
Yeah,
notice you were lagging behind on games. Well, I guess technically there's only one game that you've missed so far. Just what Predator Soccer was saying there. The link to the kind of fund page is just in the chat there. I've dropped it in the chat. Metal Phase, anything to add?
Let's hope that Sean picks up his game and he matches up pretty well for a rematch between him and Pixie.
Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more of how that Group A develops following the Sean and Losser result. So yeah, thanks to everyone for joining us. Thanks very much appreciated. We're gonna actually Vulcan is on, so we're gonna head over to Vulcan, who should be playing Steel Division 2. That's what his notification said. So yeah, join us over there. And well, yeah, so we'll be back again next week as well. Same time, same place, more General's Lounge, more covering results, and more hopefully trying to help you guys out with decks and lots of other stuff as well. So yeah, thanks very much to everyone for joining us, and let's head over to Vulcan now.